I've been a fee-only financial advisor for over 20 years. And in my opinion, these are the 5 most important questions we all need to ask ourselves before we retire. And everybody thinks, as a financial advisor, I'm going to start this video with talking about money, but let's not do that. The first and most important question, in my opinion, is who are you? Who are you outside of work? What is your identity? Let's go for a walk and talk about this question and the other ones, right? It's a super important question. You've probably been working for several decades, possibly 40 years. Maybe, I've talked to people that have been working for 50 years. And our work is such an ingrained part of who we are. So really thinking about who you are outside of work is really important. I also want to say that who also relates to relationships. Who are you going to spend your time with? That one's a little more self-explanatory, right? That's friends, that's family, that's people outside of work, because your friend circle at work is going to change. It's just going to be different because you don't have as many commonalities with people at work once you leave, even if they're really, really good friends. So, but let's talk about who you are, right? It's easy to talk about who as far as relationships, but as far as who you are, those are deep, difficult questions. And I encourage you to spend some reflective time on this. And if you don't know where to start, in high school, I learned this quote by Socrates. I had to learn it, right? Didn't really understand the significance of it until I got older, but it's, he says, Socrates is said to have said, the unexamined life is not worth living. And what I think he meant by that was, examining ourselves. What's important to us? What makes us tick? What do we value? Who do we want to be? And who are we? That's, as I said, a deep thought. Some places to look to go is first, the followers of Socrates and Seneca and people like that were called Stoics. And that sounds like a sacrificial term, but Stoic is just Greek for porch. So the Stoics were people that sat on the porch of these philosophy masters and were trying to figure out for themselves, who am I? So that might be a good place to start. A modern day writer on this is a gentleman by the name of Ryan Holiday. So his books might be a good place to start. Another really interesting book is by a gentleman named Mo Gawdat, G-A-W-D-A-T. And unfortunately, he lost his son when his son was 20 years old. It was unexpected. It was tragic. It was a surgery that unfortunately, it was a simple surgery that unfortunately a mistake was made and his son passed away because of that. And so Mo Gawdat was a high up executive at Google. And after his son passed, Mo's mission in life changed to, first it was getting over his grief and finding life after his son passed away. But now his mission is to help, I believe the number is, no, it's 1 billion, help 1 billion people find happiness, help them find happiness, what happiness means, how you can find happiness. And that book has been helpful in my journey, so I recommend it. So the first question is who? Okay, the next question is related, but it's different. And that question is what? What is your what? For many years, at least 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, our what has been defined by our work. But now that we have the freedom away from work, now we get to ask ourselves, what is my what? What is my purpose? What am I passionate about? And again, it's a deeply reflective question on that. A good book to help you think through that is a book called From Strength to Strength by Arthur Brooks, B-R-O-O-K-S. And Arthur really talks about building on the strengths when you were younger, having each of those strengths, you're building on that. You're transitioning, but you're building upon it. And for me, that was a very helpful, very informative book. So I think you'll enjoy it as well. Okay, the next question in this list is what most people expected me to start the list with, which is how much. how much do I need to retire? And there's lots and lots of videos on my channel that talk about that, but how much is enough? And there's a lot of factors that go into that. Part of the factor is, what's your asset allocation? How comfortable are you with volatility, with the stock market going up and down? A benchmark is the 4% rule. In my opinion, an easier way to think about the 4% rule is the inverse of 4%. So you take how much money you would want in addition to Social Security and other income streams, how much money you would want to come from your investments. And let's say that number, just for easy math for me, is $25,000 a year. So maybe you have Social Security and have rental coming in. So 25 times 25 is 625. So you'd need $625,000 in order to get that income stream. Now that relies on a bunch of assumptions. I have a bunch of videos, just look on my channel about what those assumptions are, but being comfortable with that volatility, being able to ride it out, and also being adaptable. If you happen to get unlucky and the stock market doesn't do well in the early years, and that's when it has the biggest impact, because that's when your retirement accounts are at their highest. So a negative year, on an absolute basis, cost you more. So for there, I really do suggest you work with a fee-only financial advisor. You can just Google that term and find somebody near you. None of this, what I'm sharing today, is financial advice. This is really just educational and to put things on your radar screen for you to think about on your own. But so that was question number 3, how much? Okay, the next question is when? When does it make sense for you to retire? And what I want to remind you of, unfortunately, is if you're 60 years old, unfortunately, we likely have less than 1,000 weeks remaining of healthy, active time. So if you're 60, please don't keep thinking, I have plenty of time, I have plenty of time. You may have plenty of time from a lifespan standpoint, but from a health span standpoint, the numbers are likely less than 1,000 weeks. So you do want to have some sense of urgency, and you also want to guard against the 3 most dangerous words in retirement planning, which is just, 4 words, just one more year, or one more year is the 3 years. Okay, so that's when. Give some serious thought to that. And then the following one is where. Where do you want to live? Maybe you've lived your whole life up in the north. I grew up outside of Cleveland, Ohio. I know what it feels like to want to escape the winters. So maybe you want to go down to someplace where there is no snow, where it doesn't get quite as cold. Or maybe you want to travel internationally. Maybe you want to live like a semi-nomadic life and do what's called slow travel. So you go to Europe and you just slowly travel through Europe for 3 months. Then you come back to the United States. Or maybe you want to live somewhere for a couple years and you rent out your house. Whatever that is, whatever the where is for you, what I'd really encourage you is to make sure, if you're married or if you have a significant other in your life, that you and your spouse are on the same page, because that can be a source of stress. I've seen that happen. Try to get on the same page first, and try to watch these 2 videos. This is 8 things to give up when you turn 60 to enjoy life more. And this video down here that talks about you're probably wealthier than you think you are. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.